Agumon returns in today's Meta Monday episode, and while it's not the best deck of the format, in my playtesting for EX4 and BT12, I felt now was the appropriate time to bring back an oldie, but a goodie. Agumon Bond of Bravery has long been a deck that looked for quick chip damage, while also setting up Agumon in the Rays with Tai Kamiya to go for an endgame finisher if your opponent has a Digimon on board. While it's not Omnimon X levels of endgame finisher, I do think you have a little more consistency with newer support. BT9-Koromon is the deck's egg of choice. Considering you want DP buffs for your Digimon, it especially synergizes with your primary aggressive means for checks, Skullgreymon. Per the usual, you have a slew of Agumons to work with for this deck. BT12 Agumon for the search of Tai or a Digimon with Greymon in its name. Agumon X doesn't find an X antibody in this deck, but can add an extra source under your Digimon and find Greymon Digimon. EX1 Agumon can add a Tamer, while Starter Deck Agumon provides that plus 2000 DP buff. Could you use promo Agumon? For sure, but this deck is very budget friendly. Finally, BT12 Agumon from the yellow side of things for another Greymon search, and Marcus. Greymons come in all shapes and sizes, with BT12 being able to play Tai if you don't have it in play, BT5 for DP buffs and memory gain, Greymon X for protection, and EX1 Greymon for playing your Tais if you already have one in play and can't utilize BT12 anymore. And the joy of this deck comes with Skullgreymon. You see, this card can Digivolve from red or purple. It also has security attack +1, meaning its end of attack to trigger to delete this Digimon can be prevented by Greymon X. If you can load enough sources, you can force your opponent to deal with this Digimon instead. On deletion, you may play an Agumon from Trash Suspended without paying its cost, meaning more searching and potentially ending the game next turn with Agumon Bond of Bravery, which of course also lives in this deck. If you have a Tamer, you can delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 13,000 DP or less, and on your turn, if an opponent's Digimon is deleted, trash the top card of their security. Although its stat line is only 14,000 DP, with Koromon, you could go up to 15,000. As for options, you have a delicate plan for security control option matchups, forcing them to deal with, again, your Skullgreymon. Atomic Megaloblaster for wider building boards, though you could very well use Crimson Blaze instead. I just find more decks at this point going single stack unless you're Bloom Lordmon. So tailor your option cards to your locals. Red Memory Boost is for the extra memory since sometimes you can't memory fix, resulting in you being short that one memory. Gravity Crush could be used, but Red Memory Boost also helps search for a lot of your pieces. And finally, Gaia Force is generic removal. There's a lot you can change with this deck in terms of options, but these are the fun options that I've been playtesting with. Finally, as for Tamers, you run one Marcus Daemon as a memory fixer that can be searched via BT12 Yellow-Red Agumon. Additionally, this card can gain you a memory when you attack with a Greymon Digimon. But really, Tai Kamiya is the one you want for the extra draw and memory. 2 Tais have you set for the rest of the game, unless you're up against Black or Greymon, which can Hades Force or delete them with its own effect. Combo-wise, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, you want to put out Agumons to search and chip into security. This deck plays very aggressively and can close out games in 3 turns under optimal conditions. But in a control setting, it can be a lot harder. However, the primary way to do things is to build up 2 sets of protection on Skullgreymon. Because end of attack, Skullgreymon deletes itself, you can again utilize Greymon X's protection effect in order to maintain Skullgreymon on the field and make it something your opponent has to deal with instead. If you somehow have a memory boost or way to get 3 memory at the start of your turn, you can have Agumon Bond of Bravery for game. But in general, what are your thoughts on Agumon Bond of Bravery? This was a fun deck to explore with some support from BT12. However, I also think if you're looking at a budget deck to get into for Digimon, this is also a fairly cheap one to start to help teaching existing mechanics. What would you like to see new support for in regard to the Bond Digimon? Let me know your thoughts as I begin exploring EX4 decks in the coming weeks. But as quick as EX4 is here, BT13 will be starting up soon as well. This is Digi-Panda, logging out.